Hey guys, let us begin with the next concept in environment. It is about the ecological pyramids. So, what are ecological pyramids? It is a graphical representation of relationship between different organisms in an ecosystem. So, what is the relationship between different organisms in an ecosystem? It's represented in a graphical way. It's called ecological pyramid. So what are the various type of pyramid? First one is pyramid of number. So what is this pyramid of number? A a graphic representation of number of individuals per unit area. So how many individuals are there in a particular area? It's called pyramid of numbers of various topic levels stepwise with producers forming the base and top carnivores the tip. It's called pyramid of numbers. So this is like pyramid of number. Here we will have producers and we will have consumer, herbivores, then primary consumer, top carnivores. Likewise, this is the order we will have in pyramid of numbers. So here this is that particular image. Pyramid of numbers. We have example of grassland ecosystem and parasitic food chain. For example, it can be upright, example grassland, or it can be inverted like the parasitic food chain. As it's difficult to count all organisms, pyramid of number does not completely represent trophic structure because it's difficult to exactly keep in account how many numbers of each species are there. For example, in grassland ecosystem, we have producer, herbivore, carnivore, top carnivore, like that. And in parasitic food chain, we have producer, that is trees, then herbivores, parasites, hyperparasites. So next type is about the pyramid of biomass. There we count the numbers in pyramid of numbers. Here the amount of living or organic matter present in a particular environment is called biomass. Amount or the weight or the mass of the organism is called biomass. A graphical representation of total dry weight. We calculate the total dry weight of all organism at each tropic level. For example, this is a particular tropic level, this is a particular tropic level, then this one, like that. We have to calculate the dry weight individually. This can also be either upright or it can also be inverted. This is the example. Upright means it's the land ecosystem, that is terrestrial ecosystem. In inverted, it's the example of aquatic ecosystem. So here if we note, we have the plants, herbivores, primary carnivore and the top carnivore. In aquatic ecosystem, we have producers. It's in an inverted format. Like we have less number of plants in water, more number of small fish and greater number of large fish. So this is calculated based on total dry weight. Next pyramid is about the pyramid of energy. So these are also a graphical representation of the amount of energy trapped per unit time and area. How much energy is trapped per unit time, per unit area. This is called pyramid of energy. It is always upright. Energy is always upright, as there will be loss of energy. It will be always upright like this because the energy will be lost. From here 10% loss will be there, so less energy. From here less 10% loss, so less energy here, 10% loss, so further less. So it will keep on decreasing from one tropic to next tropic level. So this is that particular example. We have rainforest. Leave here 100% energy is there. Then we have only, from this only 10% will be received to the insect larvae. Among that only 1% will be received to this particular consumer, bonobo. From this only 0.1% goes to crocodile. This is the tertiary consumer. So what is this law of 10% energy transfer? According to this law, only 10% energy entering the tropic level of energy will be available to be transferred to the next tropic level. From this, only 10% goes to next level. Other things are being lost in the form of heat. So this is an example. There is 20 kilocalorie. Only 2000 go here. From there, only 200 kilocalorie goes here, like this. So now, what is the concept of bioaccumulation and biomagnification? What are the first of all bioaccumulation? What is this bioaccumulation? Entry of pollutant into the food chain occurs within a tropic level. So this is a particular tropic level. In this, one pollutant is being entered, and is the increase in the concentration of substance. For example, only one particular pollutant came, then it further increase. So here the pollutant is being accumulated in this particular tropic level. This is called bioaccumulation. So there is an increase in the concentration of pollutant substance in certain tissue of an organism or body due to absorption from the food and environment. So this particular pollutant is being contaminated in the food or the environment, and its content increases in that particular body. This is called bioaccumulation. So the next concept is bioconcentration. What is bioconcentration? Bioconcentration means it occurs within a tropic level through absorption from water, when intake from water is greater than the excretion rate. So if that particular increase or absorption occurs through water, the rate of absorption is greater than that at which the substance is lost. It is synonymous to bioaccumulation except the source. For example, in bioaccumulation, it can be either through water or food or through environment, anything. Whereas in case of bioconcentration, the pollutant increases or is being absorbed only through water, which is bioconcentration. So next concept is biomagnification. What is biomagnification? It is a tendency of pollutant to concentrate as they move from one tropic level to the next. For example, in this particular tropic level, we have only one contaminant. When it reaches the next one, it will increase to 2. Then, for example, we have 2 fish and we have 2 contaminants. It will further reproduce and it will give rise to 4 fish. All these 4 fish will contain the contaminant in the next tropic level. So it will keep on increasing, magnifying, which is called biomagnification. So 4 conditions are there for biomagnification. The pollutant must be long-lived, so it will increase, and it must be stable, mobile, soluble in fat. It should not be soluble in water, and biologically active. These are the conditions for biomagnification. For pollutant has all these features, then it will increase the biomagnification. For example, DDT, hexachlorobenzene, polychlorinated biphenyl, toxaphene, methylmercury, agricultural pesticide. This is bioaccumulation and this is biomagnification. It is being increasing the pollutant level in further tropic level. Bioaccumulation is also increasing, but in different species. Concentration is increasing only through water. And the next concept is about the ecological succession. So what is this ecological succession? Succession is a universal process of directional change in vegetation on an ecological timescale which leads to establishment of a relatively stable climax community. So what is ecological succession? Succession means the directional change in vegetation. For example, we have a seed. It further become a plant. Then it will grow into a smaller tree. Then it will further grow into bigger tree. So this is ecological succession. It's a kind of directional change over the ecological time scale, which will lead to establishment of relatively stable climax community. Then we will have further many trees and it will become a forest. So this is called succession. So what are the stages in this ecological succession? First we will have pointer community. It will further lead to series or serial. Then finally we will reach the climax stage, that is climax community. Now first, what is this pointer community? The first group of organisms which establish their community in the area is called pointer. So the first group, small minor groups are called pointer. Example will have lichens, moss, microbes. These are the pointers. Then the middle stage, serial stage. Here only development happens. The various developmental stage of a community is called series. Then in this particular community we will have herbs, shrubs, etc. usually grow after weathering, increase in moisture and soil. From lichens we have herbs in this particular stage. Then the last stage is climax community. This is the final stage of succession which will lead to stable community, that is climax community. So what are the types of succession? Types of ecological succession. First one, primary, secondary. Then autogenic, allogenic, autotrophic, heterotrophic. Now let us look into them one by one. First one, primary succession. Primary succession means it will involve the gradual establishment of biotic community on a lifeless ground. So here we will have the biotic community like plants, trees on the lifeless ground. This is primary succession. Then the next one is about the secondary succession. So this is primary. We have bark, then we have pointer species, decomposition happens, grasses grow, more nutrients, single or smaller tree, then we'll have many and bigger trees. The secondary succession, it involves establishment of biotic community in an area where some type of biotic community is already present. For example, here we have this particular community. This is primary. In the secondary, from this it will continue. Already we have some or other biotic community. If there is some forest fire or some destruction, so the biotas are removed from the soil. So in the next time when a tree or some other community, biotic community, it grows, it will grow quicker because we already had the roots ready. Eventually the climax community is re-established and it happens in a faster rate in the secondary succession. So the next concept is about the autogenic succession. Autogenic means succession brought about by living inhabitants of that community itself. The living things in that community, they themselves bring out the succession. It's autogenic. Allogenic means it will happen because of some non-living or some outside factors. For example, succession brought out by outside forces, that is called allogenic. Then the next one is about autotrophic succession. Succession in which initially green plants are much greater in quantity. They are called autotrophic succession. Then the next one is about the heterotrophic succession. Here succession in which the heterotrophs are much greater in number. If we have more number of green plants, they are autotrophic. If we have more number of animals or heterotroph, it is called heterotrophic succession. So next we will begin about the concept called nutrient cycle. The cyclic flow of nutrient between the biotic and the abiotic component is known as nutrient cycle or biogeochemical cycle. So what is this nutrient or biogeochemical cycle? Here the nutrients are being transferred or it flows from the biotic to abiotic component. The nutrients enter into producer and move through the food chain and ultimately reach the consumer. The bound nutrient of the consumer after death are decomposed and converted into inorganic substances which are readily used up by the plants, that is producers, and again the cycle starts. So it is like a particular cycle. The biotic factors and abiotic factors are involved, and this is how the cycle continues between them. The major nutrients like carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen are cycled again and again between the biotic and abiotic components of the ecosystem. This is the biogeochemical cycle or nutrient cycle. Nutrient cycle can be classified into two types. They are gaseous and sedimentary. So we will compare between the both. Now these are the parameters, and here we will talk about the gaseous and here we will talk about the sedimentary cycle. First, the definition. Main reservoir of the element. Since it's gaseous, it has air or water as the main reservoir. Here sediment means the land or earth. So the earth's crust is the main reservoir. Now type. What are the types of gaseous cycle? We have carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, water. And in sedimentary we have sulfur, phosphorus, iron and calcium. Cycle. Here the cycle is nearly perfect. Here it is less than perfect. Here the reservoir pool is atmosphere and hydrosphere. Atmosphere is air and hydrosphere is water. Here it is lithosphere. And the withdrawal from reservoir pool. Here it is small, whereas in case of sedimentary cycle it's larger. So we'll begin with the gaseous cycle now. In this, first let's talk about the hydrological cycle. Hydrological, we all know hydrology means water. Movement of water in a cyclical manner is called hydrological cycle. Hydrological cycle, it begins with the evaporation of water. So first water will be there. It will be evaporated from the surface of the ocean as moist air is lifted. So the moist air is lifted. Here it will cool down and it will become water vapor and it condenses to form clouds. Moisture is transported around the, so here the moisture is being transported around the globe until it returns to the surface as precipitation. So here this is the water cycle. We have water, land. It will evaporate. Then to plant we have transpiration. Then the water vapor condenses and form clouds. It will lead to precipitation and the cycle continues. In the carbon cycle, it is the taking carbon out of the atmosphere. Nature is constantly taking carbon out of the atmosphere. These processes are sometimes called carbon sink. First, through photosynthesis. Plants use photosynthesis to make energy and grow. They take carbon dioxide, sunlight and water and turn it into oxygen and sugar. Large areas of plants like the rainforest help to remove lot of carbon from the atmosphere. So this is about photosynthesis. So what happens during photosynthesis? Plant needs energy to prepare their food and also to grow. So they take the carbon dioxide, sunlight, water, all these things, and it will convert into oxygen and food. This is how large area of plant like the rainforest, they help to remove lot of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere in the form of CO2. So photosynthesis help in removing or taking out the carbon from atmosphere. Now next to carbon sink is the ocean. Ocean water does a lot to remove excess carbon from the atmosphere. How? Carbon dioxide in the air reacts with seawater to make carbonic acid. So carbon dioxide is in the air, it will react with the water and it will form carbonic acid. If there is too much carbonic acid, it may lead to acid rain. However, some carbonic acid is good as it is used by species organisms to make their shell. These shell will eventually become sedimentary rock like limestone. So first of all, carbon dioxide, it becomes carbonic acid. Now if there is too much of acid, this will evaporate and it will lead to rain. And this particular rain is not ordinary rain, it's acid rain. However, some of that carbonic acid is good, because sea organism, they use it to make shells. It will become the sedimentary rock like limestone, and that helps in sedimentary cycle. So this is how carbonic acid to some extent is good. Now moving carbon into the atmosphere. These are about taking out carbon from atmosphere through photosynthesis and ocean. Now how can we move back the carbon into atmosphere? At the same time, that some process of nature are removing carbon from the air. So some process of nature removing carbon from the air. Other processes are adding more carbon to the air. These processes are called the sources. So how the carbon is being transferred back to the atmosphere? First step is during decay. When plants and animals die, they decay. When this happens, the carbon in their body will either be released into the atmosphere or it will be stored in the ground as fossil fuel. This is how it goes back to the atmosphere. Then the next process is during respiration, that is breathing. Every time you breathe, you turn oxygen into carbon dioxide, and this is true of every animal on the earth. For example, all the animals, including human beings, we give out carbon dioxide during breathing. So only plants during photosynthesis take in carbon dioxide. All other things, they keep on releasing the carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. Now the next step is during combustion, that is burning. When plants or trees or fossil fuel are being burned, carbon is released into the atmosphere. These are the ways during which carbon is released into the atmosphere. And this particular cycle continues. For example, sunlight. It is a synthesis of light, and this is taken by trees. Now carbon dioxide is in the atmosphere. It is taken by plants. Many life, they decay and it will be converted into fossil fuels. And we also have this burning of fuel. It will give out many gases including carbon dioxide. So these are the things which accumulate carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Now let's begin with the next cycle, which is nitrogen cycle. So what is this nitrogen cycle? Why is nitrogen important to life? Plants and animals could not live without nitrogen. It is an important part of many cell and processes such as amino acid, protein, and even our DNA. It is also needed to make chlorophyll in plants, which plants use in the photosynthesis to make their food and energy. So plants, just like it needs carbon dioxide for its respiration, they also need nitrogen for their growth. For example, nitrogen, it can be in the many form like amino acid, protein, and even as DNA. And even to make chlorophyll, they need nitrogen. Now we will begin with the process of nitrogen cycle. This picture shows the flow of nitrogen cycle. The most important part of the cycle is bacteria. They are called nitrogen fixing bacteria, right? Bacteria help in nitrogen change between states so it can be used. So we will look at this particular cycle. So this is that particular cycle. When nitrogen is absorbed by the soil, different bacteria help it to change state so it can be absorbed by plants. So it will make it into a format which can be absorbed by plants. The bacteria helps in that. Animals then get their nitrogen from the plant. So animals, they eat the plants and they get their own nitrogen. So this is a particular cycle during plants are there, and nitrates, they are assimilated into plants, for which nitrate is converted into nitrate by nitrifying bacteria, and then ammonium is being converted by nitrifying bacteria in the process of nitrification. So ammonification happens via nitrogen fixing bacteria that will convert them. So this is a kind of cycle which goes this way. Now the process in nitrogen cycle. First one is fixation. Fixation is the first step in the process of making nitrogen usable by plants. First it will make it in a format usable by plant. Here bacteria changes nitrogen into ammonia. So in atmosphere we will have nitrogen. It has to be converted into ammonia in the first step. So rhizobacterium does this particular work. In the root noodles of leguminous plant, they help in converting nitrogen into ammonia. Free living nitrogen fixing bacteria like aerobic azotobacter and Basemicia. These are the aerobic bacteria. Anaerobic ones like Clostridium and Rhodospirillum. These are some of the examples. Then cyanobacteria. Example, blue-green algae. Cyanobacteria is also called blue-green algae. Example, Nostoc, Anabina and Spirulina. These are some of the bacteria helping in nitrogen fixation. Now what is this process called? Nitrification. First nitrogen is converted into ammonia. Now this is the process by which this ammonium is getting converted into nitrate by bacteria. This is called nitrification. Nitrates are what the plants can absorb. So nitrogen is there. It is converted into ammonia, which is further converted into nitrite. This can be absorbed by plants. Nitrifying bacteria, example, they are called chemoautotrophs. They are inorganic chemical energy sources to synthesize organic compounds from carbon dioxide. For example, ammonia, it is converted into nitrate, then it will be converted into nitrite, for which active microbes like Nitrosomonas and Nitrobacter will help. Now the next process is about assimilation. This is how plants get nitrogen. They absorb nitrate from the soil into their roots. Then the nitrogen gets used in amino acid, nucleic acid and chlorophyll. So here assimilation happens for plants to consume them and use them easily. Now the next process is ammonification. This is a part of the decaying process. So plants, they are being absorbed and assimilated using the help of various bacteria which we saw now. Now after the plant dies, we further need ammonification step. Here decaying happens when a plant or animal dies, decomposes like fungi and bacteria, turn the nitrogen back into ammonia. So it is in the form of nitrate or nitrite, which is being converted again into ammonia after the plant's death. So what will happen? This ammonia, here we had nitrogen, it will be further converted into ammonia, then they can be further turned into nitrogen and it will reach the atmosphere. So this is how the cycle continues after the death and decay. Then the next process is about denitrification. Extra nitrogen in the soil gets put back into the air. They are there are special bacteria that perform this task as well. For this we have certain specialized bacteria. Who are they? So here nitrite is being converted into nitrate, then nitrogen. Finally it's being converted into nitrogen. The active microbes are Pseudomonas, Achromobacter and Micrococcus. These are the bacteria. So we are done with the gaseous cycle. Next we'll begin with the sedimentary cycle in the next part.